I'm a salesperson. When I'm sitting in inspections, it's just not the best use of my time.
Mhm.
My time is best spent on the negotiation and getting those things in. So we really try to stay in our own lanes of what are you best at? That's really
Mhm.
important. Where do you thrive at? And what's going to be the best experience for our clients? Welcome, guys, to the show. I'm Jenny Woon.
I'm Toni Singh.
And welcome to our show, Tami. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
It's so sunny over there.
I'm jealous.
Where are you right now?
I am in Venice Beach, California. It's literally 72 and sunny. It is so beautiful today. I mean, it's beautiful every day here. That's
One of my
that's the
favorite.
draw.
One of my favorite spots to hang out, actually.
You guys will
is
have to meet
at-
up at some.
I know, but she's always on vacation, and I've met some of your partners and listing agents or
great.
buyer's agents at the Venice location. But I also am a client of Cassandra's. So that's
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, so that's
Oh,
how I
that's
know
great.
of your brokerage, because I've always been looking for a property along Santa Monica. And so she got assigned to me, I guess, through online contact. And I'm probably like the worst client because I'll go down, I'll go see her, and then I never come back, and then I go back down again to see her, and then I never buy anything. So, but I will definitely use Cassandra when I'm ready to purchase down in California.
You sound like an
Yeah,
absolute
she's-
dream client. Let's just get that out of the way right there.
But enough about me. This
So-
is about Tami.
Yes. So, Tami, you've had a lot of features as well. You've been featured on Fox News, Good Housekeeping, lots of media outlets, and you've won the Awesome Women Award. Amazing.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us? We'll let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, and your journey.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm Tami Pardee. My journey has been quite a journey into real estate, but just in life in general, I would say more so than anything. I started in the real estate business about 18 years ago. Um, but my parents were both builders and designers, so everything kind of led me into real estate, if you will. But when I first came to Los Angeles, like a lot of people, I was in the entertainment business. So I worked for Sharon Stone, I worked at Paramount Pictures, I worked for Fox, I did live TV shows. And when I was doing that, everything always, like I was always in charge of the housing for the show, or I was always in charge of like things went wrong on something, included like in a house or whatever it was, they always called me. So it's always been in my kind of in my blood and what I enjoy doing. And then when I was working in production, I was flipping houses by my just on the side. Home Depot was open 24 hours at the time, and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go do this with my contractor. And I was making a lot more money doing that than actually working in production. And I loved it. So I started doing that. And then, and after that, what I did was I tried to sell my own house, and I didn't like what the agent did for me. Like she basically didn't call people back, didn't do all these things. And I'm like, I should be selling. I should be doing this. I think I could do this a lot better. So I went and got my master's in business. And when I went and got my master's in business, I kind of said, I want to take the model from production and roll it out into the real estate world. So that's really
Awesome.
what I did. And it's been fabulous. I started obviously by myself in my house, in a little bedroom in my house. And now we have 3 offices and about 50 people that work with us.
Wow. And where are the offices? Are they across different counties or all in the same place?
Yeah, so I have 2 in Los Angeles. So one in Venice on Abbot Kinney, your favorite place. And then I have one in Culver City, Mar Vista, on Washington and Sentinel. That's my like larger office, I would say. And then I've got one in the desert as well, in Palm
Awesome.
Desert.
Did you have one in Santa Monica at one point by any chance?
I did have one in Santa Monica.
Okay.
I had it. I was on Ocean Park. I got divorced, and he got that building because I was by my buildings.
Okay.
So that's what happens sometimes. And so when I moved out of that one, I actually had no parking, and parking is important,
Very.
especially for agents. So I moved into this. We have 30 parking spaces in our new
Oh,
new
yeah.
office.
Probably
I stayed at
6,000 square feet.
in December. I stayed at the Shore Hotel, and
Oh, it's
parking
so
was,
pretty
it
there.
is so pretty, but parking was chaotic. And they were doing COVID shots in the parkade below, and I was like, I don't understand this system. But anyways,
It's very
it's so
yeah,
strange.
it's the COVID, you guys have it down, I think, a little bit more up there than we did down here, so.
So there are lots of brokerages that practice very traditionally, and however you, Tami, you operate your brokerage in a very different way, just from, I guess, things that you've learned throughout the years and talking to other brokerages. Can you tell us about your approach to being to being a manager and to be an inspiration to the agents that are at your office?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the really different thing about me and like our office in general is we call it a work family. And I'm really, really invested in my agents of not just like, what are you producing, but what is your life like? Because it's not like I love real estate, but I really love people's like growing people like internally and like and living their best life. So we don't consider ourselves real estate agents. We consider ourselves life change warriors. So we're changing people's lives through real estate. Um,
So, Tami, there are lots of brokerages that operate in a very traditional way, and I know that you do things quite differently. So, what inspired you to operate in a non traditional way, and how do you operate?
yeah, when I got into real estate, I thought the model was broken. I just was like, how is this? Like, at the time, it was really just one agent. There weren't really teams at the time, one agent kind of doing everything. And so we started, I took it like a production where it's the pre production, production, and post production. Okay. And I really went in and I just said, we need to figure out a better way. So I overlaid the production model on real estate. And then I started kind of collecting people on my team really early on. And we became a mega team. And we've been a mega team for 15 years. We've had a lot of, so we used to separate it only buyers and listing agents, but we allow buyers agents to list like their clients' houses that they've worked with in the past.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
did you change that model because the buyer's agents wanted to represent their own clients on the sales side?
Yeah, I think that just opening it up and also just doing more business. So normally we were doing about 550 million a year. And now with them doing that, we're doing about 850 million a year. So just like expanding, and really going into that, like, more is more for everybody. And so we've just kind of opened it up, and it really has been quite wonderful for us and for everyone and their clients. And that relationship going from the buyer to the seller is really important.
I have a question. Is the 850 million a year spread across all three offices, or is it just your team specifically?
It's all three offices, and we work
Okay,
as a
awesome.
as a team, or we call it a work family. But yeah,
Yes, work family. I like that.
so
That's nice. And then, so what's your goal for this year then? Do you guys have a work family goal for this year?
$1 billion. Yeah, we want to do $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've always wanted to do $1 billion, and I do feel that we're going to be able to do $1 billion this year. So I'm really excited about that.
How do you see the split from between listings and buys? Like, how was
Like
that?
really
Percentage wise?
We've been 50-50 forever. I mean, if not, we're just a few points off every single year.
And so a lot of like in BC, the funny thing is that in BC versus Alberta, Ontario, all our splits are very different in how we charge on the listing. So in BC, we're about 7% on the first 100,000, and usually ranging between 2.5 to 4% on the balance. How is that? How is that? How is it done in California?
So the normal listing fee is a 5% listing fee, and
Across
it's
the
two and a
board?
half. Yeah, across the
Yeah.
board, 2.5 and 2.5. There are discount brokers that go down to like a lot lower, if you will. But if they're discounting their own commissions, and how good are they going to do selling your house if they can't even stand up for themselves? We really try to stick with the 5%. If it's a legendary client or somebody that's returned, then we can, we're always open to that. But we have like a friends and family, but we really try to stick with the 5%.
Typically, like in my business, I'll usually have like a loyalty program where we'll offer them like a flat $500, $1,000. So what would you recommend as like a loyalty program if they're a repeat client?
I think that it depends. Like sometimes we'll do it for like a 4.5 if it's over and like a lot of repeat. That's like what we call the friends and family discount. You know what I mean? So or if it's our friends. But a lot of times, I think that you're motivated by like when someone's paying you a 5% commission as an agent, you're more motivated for those people. So I think that a lot of people look at the little teeny dollars and cents instead of the motivation behind it. So I like to try to keep them at 5%.
I have a question that's just related to your work family as well. So in terms of the pre-production, production, and post-production, like you had mentioned, how do you, I guess, how does the team function then? So is it kind of like you have a main hub that helps each individual listing and buyer's agent kind of thing? How do you deal with it administratively? And also, how does the team kind of work? What is it set up as?
So I have 2 listing teams, and between the 2 listing teams, we do about $350 million a year on just those listing teams. I'm one of those listing sides. Okay. So what we have is we have 2 people in the front, like basically going to get myself and Paige going to get the listings, talking to the people, kind of putting the schedule together. We have Samantha, who's kind of the center control, and she kind of oversees the entire process from the very beginning to the end. So we've got the pre, which is Paige and I, Sam, who kind of stays in the middle, and then Greg and Karina, who really take it out, like all the inspections and everything, like, and to close. So I'm not working on closings usually or inspections. Greg is always working with Karina on those. So we just separate it. So it's kind of, it flows really well. And then we're not, I'm a salesperson. When I'm sitting in inspections, it's just not the best use of my time. My time is best spent on the negotiation and getting those things in. So we really try to stay in our own lanes of what are you best at? That's really important. Where do you thrive at? And what's going to be the best experience for our clients.
I actually heard that you also have like a handyman team, you have a cleaning team. So everything's in-house. So where did you what inspired you to have this, to implement this like business model? Did you see it from another team, from another state, or did you read the $1 Million Listing book? How did you know what partners or trades to put into your business?
I did that. I did it like 8 years ago, and it was funny because then I did, they have that Compass Concierge, but we had been doing that for 8 years before they even started it. As a matter of fact, they got that from us originally. So what happened with me is I flip houses on the side, so I know what can be done really quickly and efficiently. And I don't know if this is like in Vancouver, but in Los Angeles, it's hard to get tradespeople to come in to do anything. It's hard to get anyone to come and work just this little one-off job or this little one-off job. So what we did is we just were like, okay, let's have a handyman. So we have 2 people that work for us really exclusively. They charge their own, so they work with us, but they do charge the client themselves, or sometimes we'll pay for it up front for the client at the end of the escrow. And they reimburse us. And then also like the cleaning, we've got a couple of cleaning people for our offices that just work, we send them over, do a quick clean, kind of tidy things up. So it's important to have those resources. And we have so much business that we really need to be the only one that they work for.
There's a lot of different models for brokerages in terms of splits and desk fees. Where I'm at a brokerage where it's a flat desk fee, and then there's a deal fee to cut the commission check. So what model has best worked for you and your team?
So we run a little bit differently than most because all of my agents, we are a lead generating source, Pardee is. So really in this area, all roads lead to Pardee. So we, out of my agents, basically they're all on splits. And if it's a party generated lead, which is about 60 to 70% of all leads that my agents have, okay, then it's a 50-50 split, right? So, we've been able to really capture that market. We have a pretty well, our brand awareness down here is very good. Our reputation is very good because we don't, I wouldn't say they're necessarily like trainings, but it's like best practices. And we work as a work family, not like everyone's competing with each other and trying to slice each other down like the traditional brokerage. If there were anyone like that at my company, I wouldn't keep them at my company because it's just not, I'm not interested in that at all. So we really do help each other, but then they also, people don't have to, that's a big job, is going out to get business. That's like most of the time, 50% of your job is dependent on that. We don't have that. So we have a lot of open houses. We have a lot of call-ins. We have a lot of walk-ins on Abbott Kinney, obviously being the hottest street in America. I mean, we have a lot of people that come in and they want to buy houses in the area. So
And so for lead gen, are you guys solely relying on most of those things, not online digital marketing in any way? Or did you say that you
no,
do?
we are. We have Zillow. We've been partnered with Zillow. I mean, that's actually when I started. When I started 18 years ago, Zillow came in. I remember every agent being so upset. Oh my gosh, they were like, "I can't believe this," and I was like, "Why are we so upset? Like, let's just." I look at these things, and instead of going, "Oh my God," like, I think a lot of people stonewall them, and I'm like, no, like, if this is the way it's going, let's go with it. Let's be there first. So
Absolutely.
I partnered with Zillow like 15 years ago.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and bought leads and did the whole thing, and that has been ongoing for the last 15 years. Now, I have to say, it's interesting because after COVID, a lot of people will go to Zillow and use Zillow or Redfin, but then they come into the opens and they want to work with the listing team.
Yeah, makes sense.
And listing agent.
I mean, how do you fit everything that you're doing with at the brokerage level, servicing your clients, bringing new business in? What does a typical day in the life look like for you?
For me, I used to look like I worked 24/7 and just all the time. And now, like, I realize how I have to be really grounded and centered to lead in that way for my people, for my team. And so I don't usually start work till 10 a.m. I go on a walk, I do Pilates, I do yoga, I do something that really is good for me in the morning after I get my kids to school, which is 8 o'clock.
Yep.
And then I basically will come in. A lot of times I'll make calls. Like yesterday, I was out showing properties to a celebrity client. I'll just kind of like it's all different, and a lot of it's putting fires out. I've done almost $6 billion in sales over my career, and there's nothing I haven't seen. And I am very like steadfast when it comes to, if there's an issue, let's just figure it out and solve it. So I get brought in a lot of those, but they don't rock me. I mean, they did originally when I was a younger like agent and didn't really know, but then after you have the experience, you're like, oh, it's okay. We'll just do it this way or this. And there's nothing that cannot be solved. Like nothing. I've never had an issue that can't. I've had some crazy issues. It's just like, I should write a book. I'm like, oh my gosh, that just happened. But
share one.
Yeah,
share one.
Share one.
Yeah, share a story.
Oh, we had one. Well, this is Venice, and I mean, this is kind of a funny one, but we had one that we were selling an Airbnb property, like a Airbnb. So didn't think anything of it, had it open on the weekend. And this guy walks in and he goes into the bathroom, which sometimes people use the bathroom, but we don't really encourage it, right? Because it's kind of gross. All of a sudden we hear the shower.
No.
He's taking a shower. He's fully showering in the bathroom. Locked door, like we're like, oh my God, like what is happening here? Call the police, call everyone. I have two men that work with me that for any safety issues that come over. So they come over, the whole thing. And the guy actually, like, and I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I going to tell this owner, this seller, like, this is just, and I'm always super, yeah. Well, I always tell everybody right away at first, because I hate like not being transparent. Like if there's an issue, I'm like, okay, here's the issue. Here's the 3 solutions that I'm thinking of. What do you think? Like, let's get this out of the way quickly, because I don't want to deal with that. But she goes, oh yeah, he's an old Airbnb. It's so totally cool. I'm like, oh my God, like what is happening? I mean, it's just like, it's just every time it's like, it's just the showings and the things that have happened. You think, oh my God, I had one that I went in, I couldn't believe it. The guy called me, his brother had died. He called me before he called the coroner. Oh, I'm sitting there and the body is there. I'm thinking, wow. And then like, if someone, like if they had a break-in, they call me first. I'm like, you should call the police. Like, I know you want to move now that you've like these things have happened, but like really, we should think about calling the police first, not
Oh
your
my,
realtor.
part of the job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tami Pardee, you have recently in the Wall Street Journal been ranked, actually for many years, ranked number one team in Los Angeles, number two in California, and number six in the United States. So I have a lot, our listeners are real estate agents, real estate professionals, students that are just coming into the industry. But we have a lot of questions about um, when you're trying to add to your team, what skills or attributes and qualities are you looking for that make the work family a work family?
We usually add to our team when we have worked with an agent before. Okay. So then they come and join our team. Okay. That's usually, or if it's a recommendation from somebody that I have a lot of, respect and admiration for. They have to meet with everybody at the very first, because I want them to make sure that they're comfortable and everyone's comfortable, because that is something that when your work is a very close work family, you want people to get along, right? So it's really it's not like a specific attribute. I don't want to say, oh, it has to be this or this or this. It's more of a feeling like, do they want to be a team player? Are they happy, like enjoyable to be around? Do they know their way around a real estate deal is important to us too? They do mentor. They do mentor up to 4 to 5 deals with agents to make sure that they're up to par of where we want to be and on track with the Pardee way. But it's I would say the most important thing is it's like a feeling that we when we interview is what my team thinks and where we're at.
How do you keep your team motivated? Is it just like they're not, because sometimes people are motivated all the time. Sometimes they need a little bit of help.
I think for me, listen, our average agent makes about 300, I think it's $350,000 a year, or right around there. And that's motivating. I think money is motivating for them. I think that making them feel kind of loved and knowing that it's not just about the real estate that we're focused on. I think that keeps them connected, which I think is important. So people have their own motivations, and I have had people not, they're lovely people, but it just wasn't a good fit, because if you're not doing 15 million a year at with the leads we're giving you, then this is probably not the right fit for you, because they have enough leads to close them. You know what I mean? So, but for us, it's more about, and I use the Jim Collins thing a lot of having the right people on the bus. If it's not the right fit, then it's best for them and it's best for us to let them go find another bus to ride on. And it might not be in real estate. Sometimes people get in real estate and they think, oh, I'm going to make so much money. And it's all about the money. But real estate isn't really about the money. It's about the connection that you're making in people's lives.
That's right.
And how you're changing their lives through real estate and their home. Really their home. I call it. It's not, real estate to me is I don't really like that term in general, because what does it really mean? It's really about the home and how is like the fact, how are you, and like how is that going to affect their life? So
is there some sort of expectation that you lay down at the very beginning where you want to make sure they're not just joining to kind of steal your system or steal your ideas, but making sure that they're actually going to be staying for a very long time and keeping your retention really high and your turnover really low?
It's interesting. I've gone through, so I think when you're a leader or a founder and a leader of a company, I think that goes with who you are and how you feel about yourself, right? So there's been years that I've lost, I would say, God, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I was going through a huge transformation in my life. And a lot of people, people would come and try to grab my leads and like leave and do all these things. And then I realized, I was like, then go. You should go. And when I was like, you know what? It's okay. Leave. I'm fine with it. When I started being like, you'd be here if you want to or leave if you want to, people wanted to stay. Yeah. When people feel like, oh, I have to be here, you have to stay, and oh my God, and you're coming from this place of fear with them, that's not good. My agents have they have it great. I would want to be an agent if you giving leads and making $350,000. What's the downside? It's like a vice president of a large company. Let's be real, right? Yeah. So I think that when my mentality shifted into not like the desperation, like, oh my God, everyone's going to take my business, instead of like an abundance where there's plenty of business. And I will tell you that, I was in management. I was in management for a couple of years, because that's what you think you should do when you become as large as we did. And I made a very conscious decision about 4 or 5 years ago to go back to actually selling for me. And the reason why is because I'm really good at selling and I love it. Like, I love clients. I love to get listings. I love to see how help people change their lives in the right way. And I am really good at it. So I have a partner, Paige. She's 30. I'm 50, I'm 50 this year, and her and I go together, and she's amazing, and we have the best time together too. And we talk in our childhood names. It's hilarious. It's like, okay, let's just have fun when we're doing this. I'm Daisy, and you're Adelaide, so let's do that. And we just nail it. And when I started getting back into it, I think everyone at my company said, like, looked at me and was like, oh, she's not into management. She actually is really good at what she does. And they know this from, there became almost a certain sort of respect where it's like, okay, she is like, she's our mentor. She's killing it. And we all want to aspire to be that. But it's not that they're going to do it on their own, I mean, because I've gone up against some of my old people that work for me, and I will always win because I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And so they learn from me instead of try to go, oh, I'll do this and I'll steal the ideas and go. So,
which comes to our next question. Your very first year in 2004, you did 33 million deals. And what habits or practices, and I recall some of the videos you mentioned knowledge, like knowing your area, but what kind of habits or practices did you adopt in order to kill it in your first year?
I just like connected every single dot. Like, I literally was like, it's not that, like, I would sit back and I'd be like, oh, like, I was in a mommy group because I had just had a baby, and they would be talking about, oh, they want to have a house in Brentwood, they need a yard. And I'd literally go and look, and then they weren't even looking for a house. And I'm like, oh my God, I heard you were saying that, but they're like, well, we're not really looking. I'm like, but did you see this house? So it was like literally just like it was really kind of looking out for what their wants and needs were without even, they weren't even clients at the time. And when I started like giving them the knowledge and like in a very soft way, in a very friendly way, I honestly ended up selling 5 houses to the moms of my mommy group. And I didn't have fear over it. I think a lot of agents going like, am I good enough? Am I going to sell it? Am I doing this? Or they're so in their heads. I just got out of my own way and was like, do you want to buy a house? I would love to sell you. I love houses. You could do this to this house. Oh my God, let's like look at it this way. And they loved it because I really came from my heart instead of like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to kill it. When I had done 33 million, I had no idea that was even a lot. And I didn't even know what my numbers were. Like, I remember 5 years after that getting named like the number, I was like in the top 5 agents in Los Angeles. And I was like, I had no idea that I was even there. Like, I got a call from this coach going, oh, did you know you're number 4? And I'm like, no, I had no idea.
So
it's not about
you were just putting nose to the ground and just working.
Well,
I had a baby.
That's too.
It was very motivating because I had miscalculated the cost of everything, having a baby. It's like, okay, diapers and a nanny, and she had colic. And so I honestly needed a little bit of escape too. I was like, I got to get my brain back here. Yeah. But it was, I think if you're doing it from your heart and you love it and you are committed and thinking it through with people, I think you're going to do really well.
Yeah, and people can tell that, right? They can tell when you're speaking from your heart versus you're trying to sell them something with some ulterior motive. It never works. People are very smart. So in saying that, you're operating from this place of heart-centeredness and you're dealing with people and clients and aligning with them. What percentage would you say of your business is past client and or referral? I would imagine it's quite high.
Yeah, it's about 45%.
Okay.
So, yeah, 45 to 50%. And it's hard to, honestly, it's hard to track all of them with so many of us at this point. So that's the one thing we've implemented, more of a tracking system, because it used to be very organic. But then you're sitting there, I'm like, oh yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, we sent that person or we did that, so, but we're tracking wise, it's about 45 or 50, but it's probably a little bit higher.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask for tracking, like, do you recommend like a CRM, or do you have your own that you've custom made?
Yeah, so we use Copper, but we customized Copper for ourselves, and it's been really great actually because they don't. The other ones actually track and keep people's information.
Data.
A lot of them, so they need to keep. You need to remember that, and we were using ones that kept our data, and that gets uncomfortable to me because I feel like there's enough data, that people are collecting. So
Yeah.
we moved to Copper. We really like it.
So
I've never heard
I've
of
never
them.
heard of that either.
Yeah.
But you guys have a lot of awesome systems in the States generally before we get them in Canada.
Mhm. I've actually signed up with Boomtown in the past, but it's from the States. But then after you convert to Canadian dollars, it's astronomically too much.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but,
So,
yeah.
We have a real estate question for you for your area.
Sure.
Or outside of your area. What are in your opinion, top 3 hot spots to buy or invest in?
All right, so that's a difficult question because
I
the market's
know.
gone up. So here's the thing. The market around me has gone, okay, so Venice kind of did not go up in COVID, which is, so right now, I just bought 3 places in Venice myself, actually, because the market has not moved, because of COVID, it actually went down. Everywhere else went up. Okay. It's the main hub, but it went down a little bit. There's a lot of, we're having a homeless, and homeless-ish, things happening here. So it really got impacted during COVID. And so the market went down there. And it's coming back up, but it's a great place to buy for an investment right now, for sure. Okay. The areas around it, the Culver City and Mar Vista are wonderful. And Culver City, Mar Vista, and Santa Monica, I would say, because you're next to the beach and you're also in really the tech mecca, which is really important. I mean, we have all the tech companies are down here now. Every single one is like within 5 minutes of the beach, and I think they're doing that for the weather. Most people want to be in nice weather, and in order to attract the talent, they have offices here too.
Thank you.
Venice.
Yep.
And any others? And Culver City?
Venice, Culver City is great because you've got your own school system and because Los Angeles County is huge. So Culver City is a city within Los Angeles County, so it's its own city, and same with Santa Monica. So those two are always really good for the schools and everything too. So Culver City,
Like minutes is it away from, miles or minutes is it away from downtown, like Los Angeles?
Well, okay, I would say minutes because it's usually like an hour away. It could be 30 minutes, but we're only about 6 miles, but it's just the traffic.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go a little bit personal here. In episode 1 of your vlog, you talked about creating 12 personal codes. And I really liked that episode because it just talks about values. It talks, and we did a vision board episode as well. So it really inspired me to really listen to that episode. And so why don't you tell some of our listeners what personal code means to you and how you practice it every day?
Good question.
So I think that for me, I have to live in my code and my values, like who I am. If I don't live in it, I don't feel grounded, and I don't feel like I'm at all like a good leader, or even honestly a good person. Okay. So and it's actually my mission statement is I'm a down to earth life change warrior who inspires hope, courage, and passion I can't say it. You guys are making me nervous. I am a down to earth life change warrior who inspires hope and courage in those I touch to show up and live their best life. Okay. So I have to be like for me, I need part of my code is like Tami time. So I have to have, there's all different values that I have, and then my code goes underneath those. But I have to say, if I really looked at my code, it all goes down to love, like loving myself, loving others, loving each other, really walking in love, and even in the most, and like also boundaries are love too. Some people, some clients I don't work with anymore. That was been something in my later years that I've really realized, like, I'm not going to get beat up by people. This is just not going to happen. So I think that really calling in all of those and And the code, doing our codes, we did that as a team actually, was really impactful for everyone of like, what do you stand for and who are you?
I have a question actually. When you let go of those clients, does that mean that the entire brokerage does not work with any of them, or do you actually pass them down to another like partner or an agent that may be better suited for them?
That's a great question. We it's actually it's a mix. Okay. So if there's anything unethical about them that could get us into anything legal, we do not work with them again at all, ever. Period.
Just fire them. Yeah.
We're not going to do that. I do try to match leads with people. So I had one client that was he liked to kind of was very abrupt, you know. And I have one agent that's a little bit more abrupt, and I match them, and they go on great. So,
perfect.
you know, and so I try to do that with all of my leads, is really match the lead to the person, because I think that relationship is actually sacred and really important.
One more question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, go ahead. That was a good question.
The with the leads that come in, so is there like a initial person that
Good question.
that
Screens it or
that
deals
screens
with
them
it.
and then passes it down to your team,
Or pre-qualifies in
because
any way?
I have a problem where when there's a screener, there's that lag of time that that next person picks up the phone and calls them, and so now that lead has gone to another agent from another brokerage because they didn't get to that person in time. So what's that system look like on the lead gen?
Okay, so we have an ISA. So we have an ISA, and then we also have Samantha, who's basically kind of my vice president of my company. So between the two of them, we basically get a lead in, and then we try to transfer that lead right on that call. So we'll be like putting them together, or with really when Sam's on it, she can answer most questions, and then we have a 20-minute time to go to the next person. But usually what we do is try to merge, and then we have floor time too. So whoever's on floor time will get a lot of the leads for that time as well. So it's really important to transfer leads like the minute, or have the personal connection the minute they get it. So like Scotty at my front desk, if he has a lead call in, if there's no one on floor time, he'll connect him with Sam, and Sam's usually able to capture them.
Gotcha.
That's a good system though. That's really quick too. 20-minute lead time.
That's always been a rule of mine in my company.
Great.
It's like a 20-minute callback on everything. We have a team of, on our listing team, a team of 5, because people, when you're not resetting their clock, they freak out. So even if it's a client and you're not resetting their clock, they can't handle it. So we really stay on top of it, and we stay in front of any information that they should have, so people feel very safe and secure. Because I think that in real estate, if the client feels that you're watching their back, they're front loaded on the information, but also if there is a problem, they're called, or anything happening, it just turns out so much better. And that's where the referrals come back to.
Yes.
As well.
Oh, I'm good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We're going to move to a second for, I guess, the giving back portion. So you've donated over $1.5 million to various schools and nonprofit organizations. And we're sure that you get asked this all the time, but how do you decide, I guess, which charities and or organizations to partner with?
So so how I do this is it's always been important to me to give back into the local communities and schools, because that's really where I'm thriving. So I want them to thrive too. So I try to stay very, very local. We did start a program, which is our own foundation, called Life Change Warrior. And so a lot of our money goes to that. And then what we do is we teach a program, myself and there's 2 other coaches that teach it, taking homeless. We have a lot of homeless here. So taking homeless pregnant women from Harvest Home through a complete, it's basically a class. It's a 16-hour class of their past, present, and future. And then we help launch them into when they're after they have their babies, and we get them housing, and then help them get jobs too.
I would want to hear more about
Life
that one day.
Change Warriors. How did you come up with
Yeah.
that name? Because you've repeated that.
We had a company-wide meeting, and people didn't like to be called real estate agents, because nobody does. And I was like, and so we were all just kind of brainstorming, and it just like came to me. I was like, we're Life Change Warriors. We actually help people change their lives. And then in real estate, when I was doing that, realized that I had done so much work that the people that were really affected don't have money to do classes or to, go on these retreats and all these things. And I was like, let me just take all the, like a lot of the tools that I have learned, create a program, and then implement. And we do it with, it's called Venice Arts too. It's foster kids in there. So really showing them that they can live their best life through vision boards and all of that. So it's great.
Love vision boards. Love
It's
vision
great.
boards.
Yeah, that's
I know.
great. And so obviously doing that, and as well as your work family, just all the systems that you've set up does really set up that like corporate company culture. And so how would you describe, like how would you I'm actually starting my own brokerage in the next couple months.
Yay.
So I was really excited to talk to you. But what how do you sustain this company culture? Like how do you ensure that you're ensuring that it's being messaged correctly to the agents in the office? I don't know if I've worded that correctly.
Who's in your, I understand what you're saying. We do a lot of things we do goal setting, and then if whoever reaches their goal, we get a huge house in Mexico and we all go together. So that's really brings people together. That's every year. We do a lot of parties. My last name's Pardee. So we do a lot of, whatever it is, I'll have, and it's usually something fun. Like we'll have live music and we'll just do it, but it's small and intimate. And I think it's just that everybody, it comes from the top. So however you're going to be is how it's going to come down, right? So if you walk in the door and say, hi, how are you? Oh my God, what's going on? Da, da, da. They're going to feel that, right? People want to be around positivity and love and walking in and being greeted. They don't want to come be around a boss. It's like, wow, I don't want to talk to you, So that's just how it's been. And my right hand's my core team. They are all like that. And that was really important because it can't just be one person. It comes from the top, but it has to bleed through on your first, you're basically your main line of defense.
So we are going to round it off at the top with the 5 rapid fire questions if you have a few moments more.
Sure.
So I'll ask the first one.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to go back to when you first started Pardee Properties 18 years ago, what advice would you give yourself?
I would have given myself not to worry about things so much. It's all going to be okay.
What is your favorite real estate book or podcast? Or do you even listen to that stuff?
I don't listen to that
Okay,
stuff.
then not real estate book or podcast, but maybe life book or
Okay.
podcast or anything.
Anything Brene Brown, Atlas of the Heart is what I'm reading right
So
now,
good.
and she's incredible.
If you were not selling real estate, what other career could you see yourself in?
I honestly would be taking probably a caretaker for end of life. I've always wanted to do that. A hospice. I've always wanted to do that.
One word to describe Selling Sunset.
I don't watch it.
I don't either.
I don't. I think it's a lot of drama. I'd say drama. Drama.
Yeah.
Drama?
Yeah. I've never seen an episode myself.
What's one piece of advice you would share with others that are just starting in the business? So they're a rookie.
I would honestly just connect the dots, be friendly, and listen and take it.
Last question. Where can our listeners find you and your team?
You can find me at pardeeproperties.com or Tami Pardee at Instagram and Facebook, or Pardee Properties at all of those too. And we're on Abbott Kinney. Just come say hi. And if you have anyone that referring to Los Angeles, refer us. We'll take good care of them and would love to help. And would love to work with you.
Now that the episode is over, I just want to say, I was telling the gang here that I have a girl crush on you, and I want to run my brokerage exactly how you you're very inspirational to me, and so I've been waiting to have you on this episode.
Yeah,
to
this
talk to
was a
you.
really good episode. I wish that it wouldn't
you.
end.
Oh, that's exciting about your own
He was
brokerage
thick,
too.
though.
Thank you.
You're gonna do great.
She also runs a family brokerage as well, a family business.
Yeah, I'm changing
I
things
do.
though now. It's been done. We're changing a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be so fun.
You have to keep. I mean, that's the thing is I really download. I mean, my husband, or soon to be husband's a trauma surgeon, as I said, but we're in the trauma healing, psychedelic world too. And which I don't usually talk about on podcasts. Well, it doesn't really matter, but, and honestly, even with my crew, we'll do journey work and everything. We'll go in deep on all that stuff.
Tami, I'm going to have to reach out to you by email. Expect an email from me. I have questions.
Okay. Yeah. We have answers. I'll probably hook you with John.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks both of you. Thank you. All right. Bye.